Batter, number 7, Bob Robertson.
You're looking at Bob Robertson, Pirate first baseman. He walked in the second inning, scored the Pirates' first run. He struck out in the third inning. Incidentally, since the walk to Stargell in the third inning, Baltimore's left-hander McNally has now retired 9 in a row. Foul ball. Foul ball is the call from third base umpire Ed Barker.
If that ball had been fair, Chuck, Brooks Robinson would have had a play that he almost duplicated in the World Series last year when he had to cross the line and make an off-balance throw from foul territory. Here he is now. Robinson, as Chuck and all of us have told you, is not a fast runner, but he has lightning reflexes for a step or two with hands and feet. He doesn't need to be fast. He just moves so quickly with those hands and his feet.
2 strikes, the count to Bob Robertson. One and 2. Good hard driving fastball from McNally down and away. And another one. And for McNally, his 7th strikeout of the game. In this World Series, the NBC will televise to over 200 stations. Plus, the game will be seen in Taiwan, Canada, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Colombia, Bermuda, Panama, and the Virgin Islands, the Dominican Republic, Hawaii, and the Philippines.
Remember when this used to go to the Mississippi River?
Strike one to Sanguillen. Yes, Kurt, both of us are around that long. One and one to Manny. Sanguillen reached on the fielder's choice. That is to say, he hit the ground ball to Belanger. Belanger tried to get a play on Robertson at third and hit Robertson in the head and bounded away. And Manny reached. Then he struck out in the third. Watch Retton on the center fielder. 2 down. 11 in a row now, retired by McNally.
Any kind of support, Chuck. McNally could be working on a shutout. All 3 Pirate runs, for those who have joined us late, were unearned in the second inning when the Orioles made 2 errors, throwing errors on the baseline.
Study and concentration. McNally ready to work to Jose Pagan. He has bounced to the mound and flied to left. Ball 1. One and one.
Got quite a pattern working now, moving that fastball in, then out, and throwing a breaking pitch, mixing them up. Great pattern going for himself.
Brooks Robinson to Boog Powell for the final out. The Pirates are 3 up and 3 down. At the end of 5 1/2 innings of play, the score is Baltimore 5 and Pittsburgh 3.
All right, we got warm-up. We have number 32 warming up.
32.
And that's Bob Miller.
He started
Yeah.
the third game of the championship series in '69 against Baltimore.
Bob Miller.
I believe he did. I haven't got a 70-year record.
Sure will do a promo.
Good, good. Thank you.
A reminder to all sports fans that in February 1972, NBC Sports will be in Sapporo, Japan, telecasting the 72 Olympic Winter Games. Over 30 hours of alpine skiing, ski jumping, cross-country, bobsledding, speed skating, figure skating, hockey. All the events that make the Winter Olympics so exciting. And you'll see it right here on NBC. 5-3, Baltimore leading. They're batting last of the sixth. Here's Chuck again.
Elrod Hendricks, 0 for 2. It's grounded to second and fly to right fielder Clemente. Ball one to Hendricks. Now a ball two, and the Pirates are playing Hendricks, as you see, by position of shortstop Fernandez, just exactly the way they play Powell. The very same way. 3 men between first and second, outfield deep and right. And there they are. Just the way they defensively set up against Boog. On deck hitter, Brooks Robinson. 2-1. I think the comment was made earlier that Moose working the ball inside to Elrod Hendricks. Hendricks with good power for such a slender man. 9 home runs. And look at the shortstop. This is shortstop Hernandez behind the bag. Actually the first base side, and we have 1 out.
That's twice, Chuck. By playing the shortstop there, they prevented base hits from going through the middle.
Number 5.
Here is Brooks Robinson, hitless in 2 trips. Fly to center. And was out on a comebacker to the mound. Had the fantastic World Series against Cincinnati last year. And just, won all of the awards. And when he went home, driving home with his beautiful wife, Connie, after the game, he had to be one of the happiest men in the world until he got home. And then he had a put down from his 6-year-old son. Everybody in the world realized what a great series Brooks had, and he walked into the house, and Mike walked up to him and said, "Hey, Dad, who won?" Brooks said, "That's the kind of a come down I needed."
They can humble you, can't they?
They really can. It's 2 balls, no strikes to Brooks Robinson. Again, if you just joined us, you're watching Bob Moose in relief of starter Doc Ellis, who went 2 1/3 innings, 4 Oriole hits and 4 runs. 2-1 to Brooks Robinson, including a solo home run by Frank Robinson, a 3-run home run by Merv Rettenmund in the Oriole third. Three balls, 1 strike. Base hit. Whoop. I'd have to say that Gene Clines was a little bit anxious to make a pickup on that, but he handled it without getting in any trouble. Hit number 7 for the Orioles. And the batter is Dave Johnson. Dave has gone out on a broken bat line drive to the mound and then fly to the right fielder. And he started this season, as you see, in tremendous fashion with a 17-game hitting streak.
And a good man going to right field behind the runner.
Absolutely. There's one thing that Dave kind of bugs his manager. He's a fellow who is not content with one stance. He uses many different stances in the course of the year. That's hit fairly well. We'll watch left fielder Stargell. Does he have a play? He's got it right off the wall. And a beautiful throw to second.
Get the facts on drug abuse. If your child is school age, you'd better start doing your drug homework. You'll find a simplified cram course on drug abuse in the Federal Source Book, answers to the most frequently asked questions about drug abuse. For your free copy, write to National Clearinghouse for Drug Abuse Information, Box 1080, Washington, D.C. Do your drug homework before you talk with your youngsters. Bob Moose, in 3 2/3 innings of relief, allowed 3 hits, 1 run, no walks, struck out 4. And Bob Miller comes on now for the Pirates. Bob Miller won 8, lost 5. an earned run average of 1.64. The Pirates had a strong bullpen all year long with Justy and Veal and Miller. We want to remind you that tomorrow, starting at 1:30 Eastern Daylight Time, we'll have a baseball-football doubleheader on NBC. Game 2 of the World Series tomorrow, Jim Palmer against Bob Johnson, two right-handers. And Game 2 of the World Series will be followed by the Oakland Raiders-Denver Bronco NFL football game. Both right here on NBC tomorrow. McNally getting a well-deserved round of applause as he leads off in the last of the seventh.
All right, Kurt, here is McNally, and he's struck out both times on against Pirate Hurling this afternoon. And on the mound is Bob Miller with 3 clubs in 71. He was with the Cubs, with San Diego, and with the Pirates in 2 previous World Series. And a couple of years ago, Miller started the 3rd game of the American League Championship Series against the Orioles and was a losing pitcher. 1 strike to Dave McNally. 1 ball, 1 strike. A ball and 2 strikes. Bob Miller with the lowest ERA of any pitcher in the National League in more than 10 games. Been in 56 games this year, won 8, lost 5, and his ERA 1.64. And that's the 3rd time McNally is fanned. He'll probably be applauded for the strikeout. Number 1 for Bob Miller. And a hand is building for that fine little man, Don Buford. As you see, his best home run season, 19 this year. 14 stolen bases. And Buford has a great on-base percentage, Kurt, .415.
That's right, and he led the American League in runs scored with 98. Very underrated player.
Is it fair or foul? It is foul. Well, in 69, Buford scored 99 runs, and last year he scored 99. This year he scored 98. What a handy man he is to have around because of his ability to play both infield positions and outfield positions. Earl Weaver is very fond of telling the story that anytime he does not put Buford's name on the lineup card, he says, well, I might just well go out and get my dirty look right now. 1 strike to Don. See whether it's in or out of play. Out of play.
And Chuck, we're getting some more action now in the Pirate bullpen. Left-hander Bob Veal is loosening up.
2 strikes to Don Buford. Here is Veal. Two strikes to Don. Again out of play.
What a catch. That's the defensive play of the ball game. A one-handed, barehanded stab in the mezzanine.
You notice that Buford, with the count 2 strikes, just kind of a saving swing, try to make contact on anything that's reasonably close. Makes it 1-2. Incidentally, Bob Miller, remarkable statistics. He has allowed only 1 home run in 99 innings this season. Matty Alou hit it August 15th, and it cost Miller a ball game. Give up 1 home run in 99 innings and lose it. 1-2 to Buford. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes. And yes, he did allow another home run in the playoffs against the Giants. A fellow named Mays. Foul ball. And you had a quick look at the on-deck hitter, Merv Rettenman, and this is John Kibler on the foul line on the right field corner. Rettenman and Jay Mazzone. This will be a 2-2 pitch to Buford. And left fielder Stargell perfectly positioned to make the play. 2 down. And the Orioles center fielder Merv Rettenmund. Incidentally, tonight detective partners Crook and Robinson foul up another assignment, as well as the FBI, on the partners tonight at 8/7 Central Time here on NBC. Rettenmund, a fine play by shortstop Hernandez, got him in the first inning. He homered with 2 aboard in the third and struck out in the 5th. Oh, what a grab from Bob Miller. Just a great play from Miller. 3 up and 3 down go the Orioles, and at the end of 7 complete, the score is Baltimore 5 and Pittsburgh 3. All right. This is a big inning right here.
Yeah.
It'll be Watt and Rickard at this stage of the ball game. Yeah, but at this time of the ball game, it'll be Watt and Rickard.
Yeah, Blair's down the center field.
20 out. Station break.
Wait a minute, don't.
Whenever you dial an out-of-state call, your
Blair to center.
rates are lower. So dial it yourself and save.
We have a couple of Oriole changes we'd like to tell you about, but before we do, we pause now for station identification.
This change to the Oriole outfield. Now playing center field. Batting first. Number 6, Paul Blair. Moving to...
Rettenmund goes to left field, Blair to center.
Paul Blair, the Orioles' best defensive outfielder, now is inserted in center field, and Marv Rettenmund goes to left. Don Buford's out of the game. The 8th inning, and Chuck.
Gene Klein, who was fly to left, hit into a force, and an outstanding defensive play from Brooks Robinson got him in the 5th inning. Well, he was trying to stop that and committed himself. Strike 1 to Gene. McNally has now retired 15 in a row since a walk to Stargell back in the 3rd inning. Now the left fielder Rettenmund. 1 gone, and now 16 in a row.
These Pirates now are starting to hit the ball deep to the outfield. They've had 4 long outfield flies, the last 6 batters up, and McNally sort of lost his strikeout touch after he struck out Robertson to lead off the 6th.
Here is Roberto Clemente, who has doubled, singled, and flied to right field. Look at those statistics. And one piece of bad news for Baltimore baseball fans came from Clemente this week. Strike 1. He said that his shoulder was bothering him. It kind of hurt a little bit. And he is never more dangerous a hitter than when he is hurt. Clemente was a .310 hitter in his only previous World Series in 1960. Whoops. And apparently he's all right. It didn't get him, but that was dangerously close. 1 ball, 1 strike to Roberto Clemente. Two and 1. There's your ball and strike count and the out situation. Dave Johnson. Two away in the Pirate half of the 8th inning.
The Orioles think Johnson's the best second baseman in the American League, and they have a youngster, Bobby Grich, who they think's just as good. He led the International League and everything at Rochester. Where are they going to play him next year, Chuck?
That's the kind of a problem the Oriole management loves to face. Ball 1 to Stargell. Stargell has fanned, walked, and bounced to short. Ball 2. .48 home runs, 125 runs batted in by this powerfully built Pittsburgh outfield. 2 balls, 1 strike. Well, McNally, who definitely did not have the touch in the early innings, has certainly found it through the middle. The 2-2 to start. Foul ball. And as Kurt has mentioned, the proficiency, the ability to throw the curve for the strike has really helped McNally through these middle innings. And now this will be a 2-2 to Stargell. Out of play. Such a big man. He is so active, so nervous appearing in the box. But so proficient. Baltimore leading 5-3 on the top of the 8th inning. McNally with his 8th strikeout, and for 5 innings in a row, the Pirates have gone 3 up and 3 down as McNally has retired 18 in a row. At the end of 7.5, the score is Baltimore 5, Pittsburgh 3. All right. So right, the pivotal inning is right here, as you talked about it. When they led off with a single to Clemente and a follow-up walk to Stargell, right there is where the game turned. That's where the game turned around, right there, when he muscled up and found it. Definitely.
Well, he's got 3 tough guys next to him.
Let's go to Tony Kubek. All right, Tony disappeared momentarily. We'll pick him up in a moment. Let's now go to the Oriole half of the 8th inning, and it'll be Boog Powell, Frank Robinson, Elrod Hendricks as due batters to Bob Miller, who is the 3rd Pirate hurler to work this afternoon. Doc Ellis started, went 2 1/3 innings and 4 hits. And then Moose followed him for 3 2/3 innings and 3 hits. And then Bob Miller, who was pitched but 1 inning. You watch a pattern of Pirate pitching to Powell today. He has received more than his share of off-speed pitches. 1 strike to Powell. 1-1. The Powell story this afternoon: a bounce to short, a walk, and a pop to third. Two and 1, and again an off-speed pitch from Bob Miller. Buford's solo home run in the Oriole half of the fifth inning. The last bit of scoring we've had in game one. 5-3 Baltimore here starting the bottom of the eighth. 3 balls and a strike to Powell. Tough pitch for Miller to make to Boog Powell. The 3-1. Here it is. Fair ball.
Bob Robertson's a very underrated first baseman. He's solid, makes good plays around the bag, doesn't look flashy, but he does quite a job defensively at first for the Pirates.
Here is Frank Robinson in the second inning. After the Pirates in the top of the inning had picked up 3 unearned runs, Frank Robinson hit a solo home run, and that kind of started the Oriole recovery. Since then, he has struck out twice. Ball 1. One and 1 to Frank. Hey, Al Miller breaks a leg playing tennis and nearly puts an end to the good life tonight at 8:30, 7:30 Central Time here on NBC. Nothing funny about that. Miller in his follow-through was desperately trying to, either make a play or get out of the way, and Frank Robinson's second hit. That was a kind of a line drive that you saw was bearing right in on Miller as he was coming through.
This is a high breaking pitch. Look at it. Hangs right up over the plate. And Robinson wanted it.
And he might have been just a little bit ahead of it. Just didn't wait long enough. 1-out single by Frank Robinson, and now Elrod Hendricks has grounded to second, fly to right, grounded to second.
Moose and Miller have been excellent in relief here for the Pirates, Chuck.
Well, Moose 3 2/3 innings, 3 hits and only 1 run, and that was the first base hit allowed by Bob Miller. As you take a look at Elrod Hendricks, perhaps you understand the sense of humor in the Orioles, who refer to him. His nickname is Beef. That's Frank Robinson's lead at first. Strike 1. Elrod had a good series last year. He hit .364. One ball, 1 strike. I'm not quite certain whether Hendricks intended, a bunt or whether he was just, taking and 1 out and Frank at first base. He was probably just surveying that pitch. Still, it's a tempting target off the third base side for Hendricks. 2-1. Pagan, third baseman, extremely wide of the bag. And the only minor difference with a runner at first base is the positioning of Jackie Hernandez, who would normally, with nobody on against Hendricks, be a bit to the first base side of second. Now he is a bit to the third base side. Two balls, 1 strike to Hendricks. Into the Pirate dugout. It's 2-2. The paid attendance in Baltimore this afternoon is 53,229 paid, and that is a sellout. Again, your runner at first, Frank Robinson. 1 out. And this will be a 2-2 pitch. Bob Miller to Hendricks. Miller is doing a fine job of changing speeds continually. He seldom, if ever, gives a hitter 2 pitches about the same speed. He's adding a little or taking a little off all of the time. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Elrod Hendricks. That's Frank Robinson leading at first base with 1 away. Again, you see that soft stuff from Miller. Hendricks got it on his thumbs, but he got a piece of it, so the count continues 2-2. The on-deck hitter for the Orioles, Brooks Robinson. On game 2 tomorrow, Jim Palmer for the Orioles, Bob Johnson for the Pirates. This one has a bit more to go. Again, a 2-2 to Hendricks. Well, let's see whether Sanguillen has a play. Not quite. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. Hendricks is on his way back to check for the tar towel with Brooks Robinson. And look at the sellout crowd in Baltimore. And quite frankly, there have not been that many sellout baseball crowds in Baltimore's history. Uh-oh. Young Cash.
There was some great base running by Frank Robinson on this play. He correctly gauged that ball would be trapped in front of Dave Cash, and he broke. A lot of players would have held for fear they'd be doubled up at first base. And Frank Robinson's alertness gets him into second, and Cash couldn't make the play on Hendricks.
Cash just a little off balance, a little off stride as he reached the ball, and I'm not sure, it appeared like it kind of hit him in the heel of the glove rather than the pocket, but the Orioles, with 1 away now, have Frank Robinson at second base, Hendricks at first base, and here is Brooks Robinson. He has fly to center, bounced to the mound, and singled. Ball 1. Activity in that Pirate bullpen. A lot of activity from this predominantly Oriole crowd. 1-1 to Brooks. Bob Miller, the third Pirate hurler of the game, and here is Bob Veal. Big, strong southpaw. We'll see if Pagan has a play. He had it, and it was not an easy play.
Sanguillen had to go down and cover third base. But both the shortstop and the third baseman over for the foul ball. You see Sanguillen coming back now. He was very alertly down there.
Oriole scouting reports on Sanguillen, Kurt, dictate that he might well be the best catcher in baseball. Here is Johnson, hitless in 3 trips. Line to the pitcher, fly to right and to left. Two out now. Frank Robinson at second, Hendricks at first. out of play.
We have an odd sight out in the Baltimore bullpen right now. 3 pitchers are warming up. 2 right-handers, Pat Dobson, Eddie Watt, and a left-hander, Pete Rickard. 3 warm-up pitchers. You don't see that very often.
How often do you find a 20-game winner in the bullpen? Uh-oh. Nope, he did not get him. Johnson reaches.
Now here it is, just by the pitcher. Miller had fallen off balance. An excellent player by Cash, but not in time. And one of those bang-bang plays at first base, so the Orioles have the bases loaded.
And a chance, Kurt, to do something that isn't done as often as it should be. Compliment the umpire on an outstanding call, just as close as it could be, and he was right as rain. Now Belanger with the bases loaded. And 2 out.
Number 7, Belanger.
And every man now is hit safely in the Baltimore lineup except Powell and McNally.
Belanger has singled, tripled, and grounded to second base. Ball 1. That's the situation. Everywhere you look an Oriole. Frank Robinson third, Elrod Hendricks second, and Johnson at first. Veal in the bullpen for the Pirates. And a 1-ball count to Belanger. And it should be handled by Hernandez. There's the force that ends the inning. So at the end of 8 complete innings, the score is Baltimore 5 and Pittsburgh 3.
Now, a word on behalf of Major League Baseball. William Howard Taft was the first president to throw out the first ball in a season opener. But the distinction of being the first president to toss out the first ball in the World Series goes to Woodrow Wilson in 1914. 5 other presidents have attended World Series games, and the president attended the most, Calvin Coolidge. Now, here we go now, and Dave McNally, Chuck, had quite a spell in the dugout. It was a long last half of the 8th inning. Let's see if it affected him any.
Well, here is Robertson, who has walked and struck out twice against Dave McNally. Strike 1. Sometimes that long rest, can be harmful. He can stiffen up. And, of course, there are times when it's the proper kind of a recess to finish a ball game. 1 strike to Robertson. Robertson, Sanguillen, and Pagan are the 2 batters. One and 1. Foul ball. This is a 1-2 pitch to Bob Robertson. Booth this afternoon. Our most grateful thanks to Alan Roth and Jim O'Gorman for their outstanding statistical help. 2-2. Well, Blair, Rettenmund, Belanger. Let's see. It'll be the outfielder Rettenmund. And McNally is now retired 19 in a row. The last man to reach for the Pirates, Willie Stargell, in the third inning, and he walked. And at no time this year has McNally fanned as many batters as he has fanned this afternoon. His previous strikeout high was 7, and already he has 8. Manny Sanguillen, who is 0 for 3, has scored a run. Belanger's got the hurry. And Powell could not come up with it, and Sanguillen reaches.
Belanger knew Sanguillen could run. He unloaded that ball in a hurry. Made a bad throw to first. But there's the first man for the Pirates to reach base, and Stargell walked in the third. That's been scored an error all the way on Belanger. That's the third Baltimore error this game. The Pirates are errorless.
And that error and the reach of Sanguillen puts quite a different complexion on McNally's effort now as he faces Jose Pagan, who is 0 for 3. Ball 1. Pagan has bounced to the mound, fly to left, and grounded to third. It's Sanguillen at second base. 1 out. Top of the ninth. Baltimore 5. Pittsburgh 3. Tying run right there at the plate in the person of Pagan. Right fielder Frank Robinson is calling for it. 2 down. And Hernandez is the scheduled batter, but we will get a pinch swinger. Looks like it'll be Oliver. Al Oliver. Well, the story on Oliver this year is pretty good reading. He was a .282 hitter in 143 games with 14 home runs and 64 runs batted in.
Oliver finished the season very strong. He was probably the Pirates' hottest hitter the last month. In fact, he hit .328 in his last 33 games. Mazeroski's already hit, so the Pirates had one right-handed pinch hitter left. That was Gene Alley. For Murtaugh goes with the left-hander Oliver instead.
And as we mentioned at the outset of the telecast, one of the reasons for the start of a left-hander was to keep a man like this, Al Oliver, on the bench. And here he is. Ball 1. Seasoned veteran. He's had this pressure, has felt it many times, as Dave McNally. Ball 2. So there is no let up on the pressure to Baltimore's Dave McNally. 2 out. Sanguillen, the runner at second. 2-1. One to the pinch hitter, Al Oliver. 2-2.
McNally's had a good live fastball today. It's been very quick all afternoon.
Now the 2-2 pitch to Al Oliver. The game is over. The Orioles are victorious in the first game of the 1971 series. In the top of the ninth inning for the Pittsburgh Pirates, no runs, no hits, 1 error, and 1 man left on. The final score, it's the Orioles 5 and the Pirates 3.
He pitches a 3-hitter, and I'm not even aware of it. You know?
Yeah.
It's going to be a long fill until 28:40. We'll do about...
Mike, I'll follow whatever you people.
Recap up here.
2, 4, 5.
He's coming right out.
Talk about your hip.
All right. Okay.
All right.
5.
All right, let's go down right now and Tony Kubek.
With me down on the field today's winning pitcher, Dave McNally. And Dave, I've talked to you after ball games before World Series victories, and we always had a couple things to talk about. Your pitching plus your hitting. Today, your hitting was awful.
Well, I'm trying to set him up for next time, Tony. I didn't even foul tip a ball today, I don't think.
You know, it was kind of a struggle for you in the early innings. Your defense, which is very unusual, got you in a little bit of difficulty, but you seemed to get your stuff as you went along.
Right, well, we all fell apart in the second inning. I lost my control and was missing the strike zone by a couple of feet, and then we made a few errors, and then after that, my control came back, and I was throwing the ball darn near I wanted to almost every pitch, and I just got a little more confidence as I went along.
You know, today was a season high for you in strikeouts. I think you had about 9, which is unusual. You strike out 7 was your high previously.
9's a career for me.
9 is a career. Let me ask you this, Dave, about scouting reports. I sat in on meetings where scouting reports in World Series play all-star games. How much stock do you put in scouting reports? I know Whitey Ford, for instance, had his pitching pattern, and he stuck with it. Did you vary at all in your pitching pattern today?
I varied somewhat, but I mostly went by what Tom Dukes and Pat Dobson and Grant Jackson and Dalrymple could tell me because they played against these guys, and I'm not taking away from our scouts at all, but they see him for a limited amount of time, and they may see him in a funny rut of some kind, and I just went mostly by what they knew about these guys.
Did you say your best pitch today was your fastball? I've never seen you quite that fast. It looked like some of the Pirate hitters were quite surprised. It looked like they were looking for breaking ball, and the fastball was by them.
Well, I had a good fastball for me today, and I was able to move it in and out real well, and I was trying to turn it over and run it away from when I got 2 strikes on him. It was working real well, and then I was trying to get inside a lot with it, and my breaking ball, my curveball was pretty sharp today, too, so they were kind of complementing each other.
You know, Dave, one thing, and this is about Frank Robinson, your great field leader, I think. It seemed when you were down 3-0 and things looked bad, and all of a sudden he comes up, the first hitter up, whammo, home run, and it seems like you guys got rejuvenated and came right back on strong.
Right, he's done it many times for us, Tony. He just has been leading us ever since he got here in 1966, and it's things like that, as you know, that it takes to get a ball put back in a ball game. When you're down 3-0, you do get in the dumps a little bit, and it takes a while to struggle back, but he got us right back in there, or closer anyway, real quick, and it does help us out quite a bit.
Dave, let me ask you one more quick question, and it's about this Pittsburgh Pirate team. Again, scouting reports, what you did see of them on TV, and, of course, in spring training. How would you evaluate this ball club? Would you compare it to any other team in the American League, for instance?
Well, Tony, I really can't do that after one ball game, but I know guys like Clemente and those guys all hit 300. Clemente didn't hit 340 over a lifetime if you're not a good hitter. And, I mean, they can all swing the bat, and they swung the bat well today, and they hit some balls hard that were outs. But I just have to keep throwing strikes at them, hope they hit it at somebody, which they did.
Dave McNally, congratulations once again. Good ball game.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Dave McNally. Let's go back upstairs.
Okay.
And again, the final score, Baltimore 5, Pittsburgh 3. In a moment, we'll continue to review the action of today's game. Well, this game turned around in the third inning. That was the key of the game, as the Pirates came up with 3 runs in the top of the second when Baltimore made 2 errors. All 3 runs were unearned. Baltimore trailing 3-0. Frank Robinson hit a home run to lead off the last of the second to make it 3-1. Then, in the top of the third, Clemente single and Stargell walked. Warm-up action in the Baltimore bullpen. They had McNally on the ropes. He was wild. However, he settled down, struck out Robertson, Sanguillen, got Pagan on a fly ball. They let him get away. He retired 21 out of the last 22 batters he's faced. As inning by inning, he became better during this game. McNally's complete record, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. He didn't walk a man after the third. 1 wild pitch, and he pitched a brilliant 3-hitter in this game. And the Orioles had the home run bats working today. Robinson, Redmond, a 3-run homer, and Don Buford, a home run. Doc Ellis, the starter, was a loser, followed by Moose and Miller out of the Pirate bullpen. But I definitely say that it was the third inning that did it for Baltimore with the gutty pitching of Dave McNally, Chuck.
Unquestionably, Kurt, that was the turning point of the ball game. And as we said earlier this afternoon, McNally is not the kind of a pitcher who beats himself. You've got to go out there and beat him, and McNally was right on the ropes. The Pirates had him, to all intents and purposes, out of the ball game, but he muscled up and got the strikeouts to Robertson and Sanguillen, and from there on out, McNally was as good as McNally can be. And the Pirate bullpen came on and did a very good job in relief of Doc Ellis, allowing the Orioles but 1 run. But McNally this afternoon is, the story of the ball game defensively for Baltimore.
The Orioles are supposed to be better defensively, yet they made 3 errors today. The Pirates didn't make an error. And Belanger made 2 of those, the other error made by the catcher Hendricks. So all the Pirate runs were unearned. 5-3, Baltimore. And we're going down to Tony again for a guest on the field. Tony?
Thank you. With me down in the field, the home run sluggers today for the Baltimore Orioles. To my immediate left, Merv Rettenman, and Frank Robinson to his left. Merv, let me speak to you first. This guy right here has been the team leader on this ball club for I don't know how many years, and he got you back on the right track again today, didn't he?
Well, that's nothing new for Frank. He always seems to come through with a big hit at the right time. He's a heck of a ball player, probably the best I've ever seen, and a heck of a gentleman, too.
Then let me ask you this about Doc Ellis. You said you batted against him in the minor leagues. He was a little bit different pitcher today, wasn't he?
Completely different than what I expected, Tony. In the minors, I faced him, and he threw the ball extremely hard. Today, he went with the breaking ball just about all the time. He tried to move the ball down and in with sinkers and then throw all sliders away.
What did you hit off him for your home run?
A high slider, and I'm sure that he didn't want to throw it there.
Merv, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to talk to this big guy right here for a second. Thank you. Congratulations. Frank, I don't know what to tell you. Every time I see you, you're hitting a home run or doing something great in the ball game, and this team here with Baltimore is just something else. Aside from all the ability they have, pitching-wise, defense, the power, etc., they've got something else that most teams don't have. Maybe you can explain it for us.
Well, actually, Tony, it's hard to explain. I know when you say this, it might sound like it bragging or something, but this team has togetherness. What I mean by that is no one individual that tries to carry the ball club. We know what we can do and what we can't do, and we do the little things or do whatever we have to do to try to help the ball club win a ball game that day. If it means hitting the ball behind the run and move him up, we'll do that. Trying to hit a home run, we'll try to do that. But we know that 2 or 3 individuals are not going to carry this ball club. We don't try to carry the ball club, and we just do what we have to do and just peck along and get a run here and there. And this ball club is just great together. We know it, as I say, we're tremendous on the field together as a unit and also off the field. It's just a lot of togetherness here and a lot of good feeling on this ball club.
Frank, game number 1's over. It's in your back pocket now, but you've seen this Pittsburgh Pirate team before when you were over in the National League and, of course, spring training. You know what Clemente can do. You know what Stargell can do. That's a great ball club, a great hitting team, isn't it?
That's no doubt about it, Tony. We knew that coming into this series, and we still know that going into the second ball game, although we're 1 up. We're not going to let up. We're going to try to keep this ball club down and win the next one tomorrow. And we know Stargell can hit, Clemente can hit. We know Bob Robinson can hit. We know this whole ball club can hit, and they're dangerous, and we're just trying to keep them away from the big inning. And as I say, hold them down, and because we know we're going to score some runs.
Frank, your manager, Earl Weaver, and of course, he's won over 300 ball games with this ball club, and everybody says, well, he's got all the material. How can we vote a manager of the year? He's got everything going for him, but I know you've got some words about that man, your manager.
Well, Tony, there's no doubt about it. He has to be the overall greatest manager that I've ever played for. He gets the most out of every individual on the ball club. I don't mean the 8 or 9 players that are playing that day. I mean the 25 ball players on that ball club. He keeps them loose, keeps them free, gets them in every ball game he can get them in, and he just seems to have that winning attitude. He won't let us relax. He won't let us rest on tomorrow, yesterday's game, or whatever. He keeps us going and keeps us going, and he's just, as you say, he's a winning player, a manager. And I say this, it's easy to have the talent, but you have to keep winning with that talent. It's very easy to lose, and you're a bum. But he seems to have the talent here, sure, but he keeps winning with it. He just won't let us relax.
Frank, very quickly, tomorrow's starting pitcher for the Pirates, scheduled to be Bob Johnson. What do you know about him?
Well, Bob Johnson was at Kansas City last year, and he pitched 2 fine ball games against us, one in relief and one that he started. He throws real hard, throws 3/4. He throws real hard. He has a real hard slider, and he tries to keep the ball out away from him with the slider and the fastball in. I know that he probably changed a little bit over the National League, but we look for him to pitch the same way, and we feel like if we can hit strikes, we can beat him or win the ball game tomorrow. But he throws the ball real good.
Frank, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Frank Robinson, the acknowledged team leader of the Baltimore Orioles. Let's go back upstairs.
All right, the batting stars in this game. Clemente had 2 hits, 2 of the 3 hits for the Pirates. Of course, Rettman's 3-run homer, Buford's home run and single. Frank Robinson had a home run and single. Brooks Robinson had a single. Down at the bottom of the order, Belanger a single and triple. The only men who didn't hit safely for Baltimore were Boog Powell and Dave McNally. The Orioles now have won 15 games in a row. Last year, their streak reached 17 until the Reds beat them in Game 4 of the World Series. And tomorrow's pitcher, Jim Palmer, won the opening game of the World Series last year, and he also pitched a shutout in the World Series of '66 against the Dodgers. Palmer, when he's right, Chuck, can be the most overpowering pitcher on your staff, can he?
Well, I think it's been said about Jim Palmer that, he ought to win 30 games every year. I don't know whether that's a fair statement to make about the young man, but he has great potential. He has the outstanding fastball and the outstanding curveball. And when Palmer can get the curveball over, Palmer then is one of the very best pitchers in all of baseball, if he can get the curveball over.
Bob Johnson was disappointing during the season, but was brilliant in the playoffs against the San Francisco Giants. And with a right-hander going for Baltimore, we'll undoubtedly see Hebner and Oliver, 2 excellent left-handed hitters, back in the Pirate lineup tomorrow. So again, 5-3, McNally a 3-hitter, stronger as the ball game went on, and 40 times the team that's won the opening game has gone on to win the World Series. 27 times it hasn't worked out. This telecast, presented by authority of Major League Baseball, is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Kurt Gowdy, Chuck Thompson, Tony Kubek bid you goodbye from Baltimore. Game 1 of the 1971 World Series has been brought to you by Chrysler Corporation. Extra care in engineering. Your host today, your local Dodge dealer. By Gillette Platinum Plus. With platinum smooth edges for smoother shave, you'll feel the difference. And by Phillips 66, the performance company. At Phillips 66, it's performance that counts. 1:30 Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow. World Series report with Joe Garagiola and Sandy Koufax. And then the second game of the World Series, followed by professional football, Oakland against Denver. Right here on NBC.